PrepperNow. This one's from a little, about a week ago or so, but it's an opinion piece, but it's important. And I kind of want to talk about this because I think it really is a truthful statement that Americans are really just kind of shrugging off this whole escalation and trajectory to World War III. So this is entitled U.S. Shrugs as World War III Approaches. Devastating report on global threats and American weakness is met with indifference, and it is true. And I think a lot of that has to do because we're in election season, and permanent Washington does not want you to be freaked out because they need to stay in power. And Orange Man Bad is going to threaten that, so they're going to do every song and dance they can to keep themselves in power with Kamala. So what does that mean? Well, they're going to do everything in their power to make everything just kind of smoothly go, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that popularity contest is over here in about 40-some days, the whole thing's going to go sideways. Okay? They don't want to be taken out of power, so they have to tiptoe, if you will. So here it is. Many reports, many places. So let's go through it. Ukraine is bleeding out. Its weary soldiers struggle against a superior Russia. Now, he is supposedly giving Joe and all of our fantastic leadership his victory plans. This be like a guy in a boxing match in like 7th round who's lost every round and gotten his butt just absolutely kicked. And he's going, all right, I'm going to take him out this round. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. They don't have the warriors. Unless our troops are going to be on the ground, it's not going to happen. China is expanding around and butting heads with Philippines, okay? And Russia and Iran have been in a bit of a collusion for the development of nuclear weapons. So these are global implications. This isn't even talking about North Korea. This isn't even talking about Venezuela. And these are other actors that would join in on the other side. So these are all, as it says here, from liberal outlets. These are not just going to doomrightwinger.com. This is basically setting it up so we are getting ready for the fight for our lives. And we know where it's leading. It's leading towards basically a global war. Now, everybody's being very tiptoey right now. Everybody's just kind of, doing their thing and getting set up. You have to do that. War is logistics. If you don't have everything you need and you get off on the wrong foot, you're not going to be going too far. That's why Israel did what it did in the Lebanese theater. Started off with the pagers, and they moved on to the walkie-talkies. Now they're going full bore. They don't even have the tanks up there yet. Now they're questioning, are we going to be able to do this with just a regular old Air Force and do what America does, which what America does is we level the place and we go and set up comms and start to broadcast our dominance from the rubble. Netanyahu, I think he wants to eradicate all of them. I think they see this as existential. I think they say, I don't know who just gifted me 5 memberships. Kevin Grip, thanks so much. Israel sees this as existential. So as Netanyahu said earlier, he basically said, if you are trying to come at me, bro, we're gonna put you into the ground. They don't play around. They're not like our losing war pussies that we call generals. Like, what's his name? Forgettable guy who's not even there anymore. Where they go in and don't do what's necessary to win. They were there for, what, decades, only to be overrun on a bad weekend. And Afghanistan, Vietnam are two to come to mind for that. Those were very poorly ended. So Israel actually does what you need to do to win. And because of that, they're going to war. They're going to war. Now, Russia's a different situation. Russia sees their people in the Donetsk region, around Crimea and eastern Ukraine. So they're trying to be a lot more surgical. But I think the gloves are going to eventually come off because they're starting to figure out pretty much that they're going against not just Zelensky, they're going against NATO weapons, American intelligence, and even other aides and people that are aiding and abetting the Kiev government in fighting against Russia. So, bipartisan report came out. Political failure, inadequacy. And they said that we face the most serious and most challenging threats since World War II. Near term, a risk of a major war. Last time we were prepared for such a fight was during Cold War, and that ended 35 years ago. And we're not ready. You ask yourself this, folks. Do you really think the modern population of teenagers and young 20-somethings, first and foremost, have the mental fortitude to go and fight against Iranians, Russians, Chinese? I really don't think so. I'm going to be honest with you. So that basically leaves us, leaves us up to our tech. That's the one thing that we have that could be a game changer is our technology, our weapons, the systems, people learning how to use them and effectively be things like UAVs and other stuff. But numbers are numbers, and many kids in our country, if they are asked to step up, I don't think they're going to step up. So, conscription, yeah, they talk about that, but I don't know how that will be met either. So, we have existential stuff coming up, and we don't really have a fighting force of people that are as heroic as the greatest generation and their children, the baby boomers. I'm Gen X, and I don't even know if Gen X could do it. We're too old now anyway. So, World War III is becoming more likely in the near term, and the U.S. is too weak to either prevent it or, should a war come, to be confident of a victory. Have you played in your mind what it would look like if we were to lose a world war? Seriously. Because I've mentally wargamed that. And it's not good by any stretch of the imagination. They come in, they tell you that, real democratic republic institutions were failures, even though they're not. They've just been taken over by crony capitalism and cronies in Washington. So who knows what kind of a government we could get. It could be authoritarian in nature and be basically an underling to a more authoritarian regime like China or Russia or whatever. Say what you will. You don't want to live under their rules. So ask yourself, what would that look like? What would it look like if America lost? Because I can tell you right now, we're not looking too hot in at least putting up a good fight. So that's kind of freaky on its own. U.S. military lacks both capabilities and capacity required to be confident it can deter or prevail in combat. More devastating indictment of a failed generation of national leadership scarcely could be penned. That's the other problem. We don't have the fighting force. We also don't have the leadership. Many of these people are DEI hires, for lack of a better way of putting it. Entire generation of kids don't know their legacy and some of the things that their past generations have done to instill the freedoms that we take for granted. You know, they really don't know. So, don't have a fighting force, and we don't have leadership to even put any semblance of a fighting force into any kind of a fighting type order. That's a bad combo. So, no sign the American political class takes the slightest interest in increasing fragility of the peace on which everything we cherish depends. Now, first and foremost, these arrogant, right university, woke, DEI, ESG, whatever the heck you want to call them, leaders, air quotes. First and foremost, they think that they're the smartest people in the room, and they're not. They got to the positions they got because they wrote the things that wanted to be read. They had no critical thinking, and they've never been really tested. Most of them came from silver spoon situations, and they have absolutely no true work ethic or no true understanding of a truly liberal order. And I'm not talking about, Democrat or whatever. I'm talking about like John Locke and stuff. They didn't get that. All they got was, Oprah's book club and all the crap that comes along with that, reading the right books so they can sit there and take their woke professors and get their A's from doing the bare minimum and saying all the right things that they wanted to hear. You know that 90% of all college professors are of the on basically the progressive side. I don't call them liberal because they're truly not. Progressive side. And by progressive, we mean regressive. 90%. It's probably higher now. So the other problem is that we don't have the money. We don't have the money to fight this thing. I don't know about you, but I'm not coughing up more money. My taxes are, I'm already paying, because I've got so many side hustles. When April comes around, I generally pay. Sometimes I break even. So they're going to want more money. And think about what that entails. I was trying to explain it to my daughter, I said, look, government is inefficient. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, look at the public school system compared to the private school system. They were in public and now they're in private. I said, think about that. What was it like? Well, public school, you had 25 kids smashed into a crappy, barely, conditioned air type of room, getting the bare minimum. Generally worried more about the cultural crap that is supposedly, hip right now and what flags you have on your wall than what they actually should be learning on how to read, write, and do arithmetic and do vocabulary and grammar and science and scientific method and all that. The core things that we used to learn. She said, no, we didn't get that stuff, but I'm getting it now. Of course. Why is that? Because it's public. It's the government. The government's going to give them bare minimum. They're not going to give what you actually need. So the same thing is going to happen with this war. And they're going to take the money they can through our tax base, and they're going to piss it away. It's what they're good at. There's one thing the government is good at. It's pissing money away. So how are we going to fund this for $35 trillion in debt? Russia and China can pump out you know, defense that is, good Lord, 10 times as efficient as what we're doing. So in the heart of it all, when we're really needing to have our game together financially, we're going to be taking a big thunder dump into our, financial status. Numerous countries are buying gold. The reason why is because they know it's all about to come crumbling down. I don't have to take you there. I've taken you there many times. Dollar is not going to be the reserve currency for too much longer. I don't know how long that be. It could be another decade. Could be more. Maybe less. Probably less. But it's not going to be the reserve currency forever. How do we know this? Well, history states it. It changes over time. At that point, people aren't going to be worried about a war. They're going to be worried about putting food on the table. So it says here, if history teaches us anything, it's a decadence this deep, carried on this long, entails enormous costs. Absolutely correct. Adversaries' conviction that inattention to a flabby political class, it's a perfect term, flabby political class, bringing the Pax Americana to an inglorious end. Key reason why nations as suspicious one of another as China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea have chosen this moment to make common cause against us. They know that our leadership is weak. They know that our political class is weak. They know that all the wokesters in the background are idiots and can be easily outmatched in any kind of a strategic, mental, critical thinking game when it comes to global, conflict or whatever. Flabby political class. These people aren't worried about winning the next war. They're not worried about making it so we're lean, mean, fight machine. The only thing they give a crap about is so they can go down to the bar after work and find their next hookup and go back to work on Monday talking about how the fun time, it's a permanent political class. And they're pissing away our money, for lack of a better way of putting it. And they're going to do everything in their power to stay in power. Not since the 1930s have Americans been this profoundly indifferent as a great war assembles in the world outside. Not since Paul Revere traversed the dark country lanes of Massachusetts have Americans more urgently needed to rouse themselves from sleep. Folks, you need to be rousing yourself from sleep. You need to be doing all kinds of different stuff. You need to be taking things of worth and stacking them, whatever that may be. You need to be taking food and stacking it. We have 3 chicken coops now. 3. We have 20 chickens now. Expanded our coops. Added a new one. We're going to breed silkies. Gone from getting about 4 eggs a day. Now we're getting about 6, 7, depending. And that's going to come. We have to put a new light in because the molting season is starting to happen. But anyway, I digress. We're in a really precarious situation, and most Americans are more concerned about who is the finalist on the show The Voice. They couldn't tell you any of this is going on. If you were to go out and ask someone, hey, what do you think about what's going on between Israel and Lebanon? Just go ask them. I bet you'll get like the German Shepherd with the head tilted to the right. There's no way they're going to understand what that is. We're in Really, really bad position, folks. I don't know what to tell you. Russia and China are tired of what's going on. Iran is getting intelligence and information and weapons knowledge from China and Russia. North Korea, same thing. You got Iran, North Korea. Both are basically nuclear at this point. What does that look like? So, I don't know. I bet there's a bunch of people in our political class that think that a nuclear war just won't happen. Or, I bet even worse, I bet they think that we can survive such a thing. Think about it. These aren't the savvy people of old. These are the write the correct things so my professor approves people. So I don't know how or where it's going to start. I mean, you've got literally on the crisis report talking about attacks happening in the Armageddon Valley of Israel. Megiddo Air Base. So Israel and Lebanon are basically next stage. It's all but a regional war at this point. Zelensky is trying to come in and make it sound like he's got some kind of a grand scheme to take out Russia, but I got bad news. He doesn't. In fact, he should be really lucky that they're still even fighting. They don't have the people there anymore. There's no way. There's no way. They don't have the personnel to do what they need. And so what's his grand scheme? His grand scheme is to start chucking missiles deep into Russia so they provoke a response where they start to strike out against Western decision-making centers, as they call it. That would be London and D.C. and Brussels. So this is, China, I think, is just sitting back waiting for any of these to get going. And at that point, once our attention is diverted, they're going to go in and start to mess with Taiwan. As it says, I mean, we're vulnerable. We've never been this weak. Key areas where we really need our strength, really need, be able to purchase things for weapon systems and whatever, peace through strength kind of stuff. We don't have the building because we don't have the money. So it's just a matter of time. And again, it keeps tripping out in the back of my head. What would it look like if we were to lose a war? What would that look like? I don't know. I really don't know. If you know anything about what happens to a civilian population in a world war, then you would be frightened. Because it's not good. We think that we're just so special over here in the West. We think we're just beyond. No one can touch us. We're America. We're awesome. They can't fly those planes. They can't shoot those rockets. They can't land on that beach. No. We're America. We're special. Sandwiched between two big, beautiful oceans. We don't have anything to worry about, right? I think that's going to get challenged in the not-so-distant future. I don't know exactly when. I don't know exactly how. But we are in a precarious situation because, our leaders are basically idiots. And we are an end-stage republic at this point, where most of the people in our country don't even know it's a republic. They think it's democracy. And the other thing that's going to happen is you're going to start to see the political class turn on the people. They get much more stringent in their rules because they don't want you going out and saying, hey, I disagree with this. Nope, can't have that. You're already starting to see the first salvos of that through social media. Big tech, such. flabby political class. It's just perfect. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts? If you think we're sleepwalking into World War III, put a 1 in. If you think that all this is fake and everything's going to be fine, or where it's all something else is going on, put a 2. Put a 3 in. I don't know. Let's do a poll. Because I personally think the term "Build Back Better" was chosen for a reason. Because I think the goal, effectively, is that America is a strong country that is in the way of certain plans, and we need to make them suffer. We need to make them lose. And then after that, they'll build back better, and they'll put it in a system that they can control. I was explaining to students today about social credit over in China. And no clue. What? Social credit. So yeah, imagine you decide to speak out against the government, and they say you can't take that train, or your children can't go to that school, or you can't fly on that plane, or you don't get that internet access when you want it. It's real. It's real. So I fear for the future. I fear for my kids, to be honest with you guys. I'm 50. I've had a good run. I'm happy. My wife and I are happy. We've got a great life for us right now, but any of this could come and just shatter it all, Have you war gamed in your head what you would do if you saw things overhead? Seriously. Do you have a plan? Because I think, again, the American arrogance says, no, that could never happen. No, there's no way. No. I think people need to start wargaming those kind of things. It's not a paranoid thing. It's a reality thing. I hope I'm wrong. I do. I hope I'm totally wrong. I hope none of this comes to fruition. I hope I'm totally wrong. And I hope that everything works out. And everybody is just hunky-dory and all this stuff that we talk about nightly here, goes away. But I don't see that happening. So, I don't know. When the Wall Street Journal is coming out and telegraphing these kind of articles and opinion pieces and such, it just shows you where we're at. Shows you how poor the leadership has been. So I don't know. Our flabby political class, I will use that forever. It's perfect. Just get a mental image of them sitting there in like a tank top with wearing the wife beater, the stomach's protruding out from a little too much PBR, and they're just sitting there. Oh, man. That's us. That's us. That's America. We have terrible leaders, to be honest with you. Don't worry, folks. Everybody wants more TDA, more World War III, more inflation. So we know how they're going to be voting, right? Just magically every time. So, sure. So I don't know. I was kind of worried last night. I'm in a little better place today about the whole election thing. But this war is not going to help anybody. And it's going to expand. What would World War III look like? You tell me. Put in the description. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's not like World War II where there's, tanks and people battling on a battlefield. Maybe it's more 5th gen. It's sabotage, stuff like that. Who knows? All that's possible. So, Folks, if you like what we're doing here, please consider being like stealth mode and for winning streak and kicking out a couple bucks for the membership. It's less than a gas station coffee. Also consider maybe locals and SUBSTACK. It's a great place, great community where I get to put stuff up that'll get me kicked off of many places on social media. But I'm just glad you're here. Glad you're listening and doing the things, you know. Hopefully you are. I don't know. You need to be up in your game. Food, whole 9 yards. So, and you need sleep. I need to go to sleep. So, I'm tired. Folks, hit that like button. Do the subscribe thing. Consider becoming a member. Darken out the bell. Get the notifications. And we will see you on the next one. Tell me in the comments what you think WW3 would look like. God bless. PrepperNow out.